Wow. Guys, this story right here might be the most ridiculous and most overt example of authoritarian Democrats attacking the Second Amendment that I've heard in a long time. As San Jose is going to make gun owners carry insurance and pay into a public fund. Okay? Basically, this public fund is for people to pay for gun violence. That's right. San Jose is making gun owners pay into a public fund for gun violence. Yes, you heard that. Let me tell you again. San Jose is making gun owners pay into a public fund for gun violence. I mean, this is ridiculous. This should be a national news story, right? They're attaching financial burden to a constitutional right, guys. This is overt far left authoritarianism. And it's the most blatant example I've seen in a long time. So let's read a little bit more here about what's going on. Gun owners in San Jose will soon have to pay for insurance to keep their firearms. The San Jose City Council unanimously passed gun control measures Tuesday that require all gun owners in the city to carry insurance and to pay an annual fee to cover taxpayer costs related to gun violence or risk having their guns confiscated. The city attorney office will return to the council in the fall with an ordinance for final approval. San Jose could become the first city in the nation to pass such reforms. Okay, so you got to pay an annual fee to cover costs related to gun violence. And you're going to have to carry insurance or your guns will be confiscated. Okay, this is what the government's saying. They're saying you have to pay us a fee to keep your gun or we're going to come take it. That's literally what they're saying. Right? That's literally what they're saying. Okay? Tell me how this does not disproportionately affect low-income people. Right? Low-income communities where gun violence is probably the most prevalent. Okay? So what happens to those people who are low income and can't necessarily afford to pay a fee or afford for insurance, but yet probably need to carry some protection, probably need to protect themselves? Those people get screwed over, right? So only if you can afford it, only if you're rich, then you can have a gun. Otherwise, you can't have one if you can't afford to pay for insurance and the gun violence. Okay, this is insane. Quote, the council has made clear that while the Second Amendment clearly protects the right for every citizen to own a gun, it does not mandate that taxpayers subsidize that right, Mayor Sam Liccardo said at a news conference Wednesday. The measures are a part of a sweeping gun control reforms Liccardo has been working on for almost 2 years. He first introduced the idea of gun owner insurance in 2019 after the mass shooting at the Gilroy Garlic Festival. The plan was shelved in 2020 due to the pandemic. Liccardo revived his gun control measures just weeks after the mass shooting at a VTA rail yard. The city already passed one of his plans 2 weeks ago, which requires all purchases at gun shops to be video and audio recorded. I mean, as if they don't already have restrictions and laws regarding purchasing firearms. I don't understand. Now you have to record every single transaction. This stuff just blows my mind. According to numbers from nonprofit Police Institute at Research and Evaluation, which Liccardo frequently cited leading up to the vote, between 2013 and 2019, San Jose residents paid a combined $441.9 million in gun violence related costs. That looks like the exact cost about $2.1 million per incident, right? That's what they say. The exact details of how much the city will charge gun owners have yet to be worked out, although lawmakers stress that fees and insurance will not significantly burden gun owners. Right, that's what they say, because if it won't significantly burden them, then what are you really controlling for here? What are you really doing? Okay? Because to me, it seems like it would significantly burden gun owners. Okay? And if the point is not to significantly burden them, then what is the point? I don't get it. Liccardo addressed concerns Wednesday that insurance and fees will disproportionately affect low-income gun owners, saying owners will have to apply for fee waivers. Quote, owning a gun in this country is expensive simply because guns cost a lot of money, Liccardo said. Many guns cost hundreds of dollars, so I would expect that a fee that is perhaps a couple dozen dollars is not going to be particularly erroneous. Again, even if it's just a few dollars, that's still too much in my opinion, right? That still is like, bro, again, this is a constitutional right. Shall not be infringed means shall not be infringed. So again, if somebody refuses to pay, even if it's just a couple dollars, right, out of principle, that means you're going to confiscate? You're going to take it? Is that what it means? San Jose residents phoned in Tuesday with some gun control groups such as Mom Demands Actions, praising the measures. Quote, there's no one law or policy that will solve the public health crisis that is gun violence epidemic, said Jessica Beacock, a volunteer with Moms Demand Action. However, a holistic approach will reduce gun harm in San Jose and the greater community. Other residents feel like the measures go too far in restricting the rights of lawful gun owners. The mandatory gun liability insurance puts a financial burden on a constitutional right, said Owen, right? A caller who didn't give his last name. When a police officer comes on a call and when they ask the question, do you have a firearm? Do you have insurance? You have to produce that. Seems kind of ridiculous. Yes, that's actually a great point. Because these are the same people that say they care about reducing police interactions and having police not be overbearing on low-income communities, right? So, again, what happens when police have to check for this stuff? Okay, and you don't have insurance. Isn't that going to lead to more arrests? Isn't that going to lead to arrests of people who can't necessarily afford or don't necessarily want to meet these requirements? Right? And that's what it's going to lead to. Which ultimately, again, statistically speaking, probably could lead to more instances of police violence. Again, these Democrats, man, they come up with all these ridiculous rules and restrictions that violate our rights, that are authoritarian in nature, thinking that they're solving a problem. What they're really doing, they're creating more problems and making problems worse that they claim they're trying to fix. That's all it is. Resident Shauna Sherman agreed, saying the tax burden on legal gun owners is already incredibly high without insurance. Quote, Mayor, it seems like you're playing national politics here, and I don't think San Jose taxpayers should subsidize your political ad campaign, she said. Councilmember Raul Perez, a reserve police officer and gun owner, says he's baffled by those who are against gun reform. He says that gun owners can support control measures and enjoy their Second Amendment rights. Quote, I likely own the most guns of anyone on the council. I've continually been in favor of sensible gun laws, Perez said Tuesday. Quote, if paying more is able to offset the negative impacts of guns in society, I will continue to support them while being a proud gun owner. They're not mutually exclusive. Well, I mean, you have the right to have that opinion, and that's fine. But I think that there's a principal problem with this. And also, I think that this is something that disproportionately impacts low-income people. It just does. Okay, those people who probably need the most protection. And California already has ridiculous gun laws, right? They already have strict gun laws. And if you're still dealing with the violence, that means that more laws are not going to keep guns out of the hand of criminals, right? But no, they just want to keep adding on and adding on. Council members Dev Davis and Matt Mahan proposed exemptions to carry insurance if gun owners could prove they can safely handle a gun, either through gun safety training or previous experience, such as being retired or reserve law enforcement officer. City officials plan to come back in the fall for further research on the exemption. Quote, I see the value of guns for self-defense, for hunting, for sport, and I've also seen the research on gun violence, Davis said. Research shows the states with tougher gun laws have lower levels of gun violence. I'm not completely sold on the fee and insurance. She suggested that the mayor speak with gun rights groups such as the Second Amendment Foundation and the California Gun Rights Foundation and the California Rifle and Pistol Association. Gun rights groups are expected to challenge the measures in court. Okay, so that's basically the gist of this article here. And I'm not sure if this is even constitutional. Maybe it's one of those things that gets challenged, and then California, they find a way to overturn it, and then it goes to the Supreme Court, right? It probably will be one of those things where we see a lot of court battles about, because I do think this is just blatant infringement upon people's Second Amendment rights. It just is, okay? I think it is blatant authoritarianism here, right? From the left, from the far left, because those are people who implement something like this. And you know, again, it's just one of those things where, you know, they talk about stricter gun laws lead to less gun violence. I'm like, okay, well, that would make sense if, for example, if the laws are so strict that you disincentivize people from having guns. So yeah, if you disincentivize people from carrying them or having them, yeah, less people will have them, which means you'll have less accidents like suicides, which make up a vast majority of gun-related deaths. Suicide, okay? So if you have less of that, yes, you're going to have less gun violence, but that doesn't defeat the problem of illegal gun ownership and the violence associated with criminals and gangs, right, when it comes to their possession of guns. See, and this is how the left likes to frame these type of issues. Okay, they try to frame them as if more gun control laws good automatically, right? Just automatically good, right? We don't need to have any nuance. We don't need to look at, you know, the statistics of, you know, what is most gun violence made of. We don't need to look into that. You know, I hope it's challenged. In my opinion, like I say, it's unconstitutional, but we'll see what happens. Let me know what you guys think. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Most importantly, share a Black conservative perspective. Peace.